Hi, I'm Kayla Simon, and this is Kayla's Korner. Today we have a special guest, Natalie Ivey from the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking. We are going to be talking about some sensitive topics. Human trafficking can be a lot to deal with, so if that's something that you don't feel comfortable listening to, this might not be the video for you. But, so Natalie, how does human trafficking show itself here in East Tennessee?
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions about human trafficking in particular. A lot of folks think that it looks like that snatch and grab scenario we see on Facebook quite a bit, which is, my sister's neighbor was shopping at TJ Maxx for some reason. I don't know why they get picked on. But these strange men were following her around the store, and they were taking pictures of her, and she almost got sex trafficked. Everyone beware. And so we see that as we're scrolling through our social media, and I think it influences the way we think it actually looks in our community. When in reality, while there might be creepy people out and about making folks uncomfortable, the likelihood that that is sex trafficking is probably slim to none. And really because it doesn't make sense for a sex trafficker to have an active kidnap victim, because they need to be able to conduct business in plain sight. And so if someone is an active kidnap victim, it makes it very difficult for them to conduct business. So unfortunately, what we really see in our community oftentimes is maybe a boyfriend or a friend, or some of the really disturbing cases that we have here are familial trafficking. So that might be a family member is the trafficker, mom, dad, sister, brother, is the one who is facilitating the kind of criminal activity. So it's really important that we have opportunities to come and talk to our community to make sure that we're really aware. One of the concerns about that, we call it kind of an urban legend, but the shopping urban legend is when folks go and they shop at TJ Maxx or Walmart and they don't see someone being actively kidnapped, then they assume sex trafficking isn't happening here.
Right.
But in reality, rural populations are high-risk populations for sex trafficking to be occurring. And we know from our law enforcement partners and also the work that we do that this is a prevalent problem in our community.
How could you recognize a sex trafficking victim if it's not someone being snatched in plain sight, like if it was familial?
Absolutely. It's actually very difficult to detect when this type of victimization is occurring. So what we do is offer specialized trainings for a bunch of different professions. So for medical providers, for educators, for foster parents, for hospitality, transportation folks, for realtors and in-home service providers, for all of these different professions that have unique opportunities to work with the public, for ways to screen and identify victims of trafficking, and then we give them the tools that they need to respond to it. But we have to approach it in that way because it is so difficult to identify. There's oftentimes kind of big picture warning signs as far as an individual who is being controlled or maybe has someone shadowing them the whole time, has very scripted speech, you might see while you're in public. But really the reality of recognizing trafficking in our community is first and foremost paying attention to what's going on around us. The second component is accepting that it might be happening where we are, where we're eating or staying. And then the third thing is listening to our instincts. So a lot of times when I do trainings, folks will come up and tell me about situations that they've seen or folks that they know. And the common denominator is that it's just a gut punch. It's a gut feeling when they see something going on, something doesn't make sense, and it's giving them a very uncomfortable feeling.
How do sex traffickers keep their victims, like you said, a boyfriend or someone close to them? How do they keep them in that cycle?
Well, it's absolutely a cycle of control, and oftentimes it might start as a very positive relationship, ironically. And so, if we're talking about a trafficker who's outside the family, they might meet a preteen or a teenager or a young adult, and really invest in that person. Tell them they're beautiful, they're smart, they're funny. They might be the only one who is listening to them, who's paying attention to them, who is showing them affection or care. And so it's where those traumatic bonds get built. And a victim might see that person in a very positive light. But once the exploitation happens, the trafficker might use the victimization to then blackmail them. So if a victim has been exploited a trafficker might have a video of that exploitation or pictures of exploitation. And then the trafficker can easily say, if you don't continue to do this, I'm going to send these pictures to your church, your family, your friends. Or they might be controlling them in other ways that's not obvious. You know, I'm going to hurt your family if you don't do this. Your mom's going to lose her job. You are going to get kicked out of your school. You know, you can control people in ways that make it very difficult to detect.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much. And then what are resources that people could contact if they do suspect trafficking?
Yeah. So you can always call the Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline number, and I think we're going to put that up here at the end of the video. And the great thing about that hotline number is you don't have to know for certain that you're seeing trafficking, because you probably aren't going to know for certain.
Right.
But if you're having that gut punch reaction, something's making you uncomfortable, you can call the hotline number and just let them know what you're seeing. Obviously don't intervene, because that's really just raises the potential that someone's going to get hurt.
Okay.
But be observant, pay attention, and then report those details to the hotline number. If you have any questions about human trafficking, or if you want to schedule training, you can go to our website, which we'll have up here, and you can request a speaker. You can find out about how to volunteer, how to be involved, or just learn more about human trafficking in our community. We really want to just serve our community as much as possible and make this an unfriendly area for traffickers to come and conduct business.
That's great. Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you all.